Hey, this is Matt. Once again, what about another review? This is another paid request. This is from Mr. Leeman. I know it's getting darker as I speak. I apologize for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, randomness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for, like I said, Mr. Leeman. Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. Came out around 1984. Was from the director of The Chariots of Fire, Oscar-winning movie. And this film actually was nominated for some Oscars. It was nominated for Best Screenplay. It was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And I think the makeup? Because the makeup of the apes are done by Rick Baker. This is one of the first films where you had Christoph Lambert. I'm saying Christopher Lambert. Easier for me to say. Of course, Christopher Lambert would be in Highlander and in this underrated film I like called Resurrection. He was in Mortal Kombat in the 90s film as Lord Raiden. I like Christopher Lambert. He doesn't appear until about 40 minutes in as the adult version of Tarzan. You also have Ian Holm from Ash from Alien. He was in The Fifth Element. He's in this as an explorer who finds Tarzan and brings him back to the civilized world. You have Andie MacDowell, who would later be in Groundhog Day, among other films. She was Jane Porter. But it's not her voice, because apparently they were fine with her voice while in the making of the film, but then the director said, I don't like her southern voice. I will get Glenn Close to dub it. So if you watch the film, it's Andie MacDowell's face, but it's Glenn Close's voice. And that just makes it awkward, because I know what Andie MacDowell, I know how she sounds like, and it's not her voice. I'm like, then why the fuck did you hire her in the first place? And it's like, why didn't you say something in the middle of it? And apparently she did take lessons. I said, well, why the fuck didn't you just get Glenn Close then? Or why the hell didn't you get someone else then? Like, you know Andie MacDowell, you with her with auditions, you heard her voice. Just fucking stupid. It's like when, what was that movie, Saturn 3? They did Harvey Keitel. They go, I don't like his New York voice. And then they dub Harvey Keitel's voice. It affects the performance. Just I know what you sound like, and it's not your voice. It makes the performance less valued to me to look at. It doesn't fit. It's like even with Jackie Chan, I prefer, if it's an American voice, him doing it. I love Police Story 1 and 2, but I wish Jackie Chan would have dubbed his own American voice. It wasn't someone else. Because while I love those films, I know what Jackie Chan sounds like, and that's not how he sounds. It bothers me. I can't help it. It bothers the fuck out of me. Now, this is definitely, it's of course, story of Tarzan. I would say the most serious and probably the most violent version of Tarzan. There are people fucking killed, and there are apes shot with arrows and shot with guns and spears. There's people. One person gets a fucking arrow in their neck. Damn. My fuck, arrow through the neck? Jesus. And I didn't hate the film. I do think the film is more interesting in its first half in the jungle. And I agree with Roger Ebert. Because after this, I saw Siskel and Ebert review this film back in the day. And I agree with their thoughts that it was more interesting in the first half. When he gets to civilization, it's not as interesting because then there's nowhere else to go. It's kind of he's there. Then he realizes he shouldn't be there. Then he goes back home to the jungle. There's not a lot of big stakes involved. It doesn't really concentrate as much on the love story as you would think. They do a little bit, but I don't really feel the love between Tarzan and Jane compared to other movies. And the beginning is interesting. You have these apes. One is being chased by another, and they have to jump from tree to tree, and the baby falls and dies, and the ape, done with Rick Baker's makeup, is saddened. Meanwhile, in 1885, this shipwreck, you have a man and a woman. Woman gives birth. She dies of sickness. The father is killed. I would like, though, the ape that killed the father, because sometimes I couldn't tell the apes apart. Was that ape who killed the father ever punished for killing? Because you would think if this is an ape that's among the group, and Tarzan is there, like somehow he would find out you killed my dad, and then fucking kill him. Because there is an ape that's like a starred up ape, and I'm like, is that the ape who killed his dad? But it didn't look like it. If it was, I apologize, I got it wrong. And if it's not, that was a missed opportunity. That should have been the one that killed his father, and then in a way, this is him getting revenge, even without knowing it, for killing. If it was, I didn't notice it, and I missed something. If it wasn't, there was a missed opportunity. And if you know the story of Tarzan, it kind of goes through the same beats, and that's kind of an issue when you do this type of film. Is if you know the story, you kind of just where it's going. He gets found. He is growing up. I do think the way they shot it, the jungle setting, the Rick Baker makeup, the not afraid to be more serious or more harsh than other Tarzan entries. I mean, there's one of the apes gets killed by a Black Panther. Not the movie Black Panther. It was a bad movie. It wasn't, not bad enough to kill someone. But it was bad. Or like this asshole starred ape beats the shit out of him when he's like, I don't know, was it when he was 12 or older? And so they get back to the ape, he pisses on him and is able to outrun him. And there's like no dialogue. Other than when the parents are gone, there's like no dialogue for this section of the film. And it's okay with the way it's filmed and the way it's done. It's kind of interesting. I do like, there's a bit where his ape mom is killed and he feels sorrow, and he's killed by there's natives on the island. So he takes a guy, and to me, you remember he does like the torture rack. Remember Lex Luthor? That's what I thought of. It's a backbreaker. Like lifts the guy, breaks his back. I'm like, oh shit, he's in the torture rack. That's one hell of a torture rack. Breaks the native's back. And that's where you have these explorers, along with Ian Holm, going along, searching for stuff. Most of them get killed. Again, some in, decently violent ways. Ian Holm gets wounded. Christopher Lambert comes in. Again, this is like 43 minutes in. That's our first appearance of him. And he helps heal up Ian Holm. I don't like what they do where they have him growl, but the growl that comes up is an actual fucking tiger or lion roar. Just have Lambert yell, ah, yeah, ah. But to actually have literal fucking... I get it, he's supposed to be a mimic, but to literally hear tighter noises out of his mouth, it's like, what? Is that how the shark in Jaws learned that? He was a mimic too? In Jaws the Revenge? Man, he growled like a fucking lion. or a dinosaur, where the fuck it was. It learned from Tarzan to be a mimic. I thought it was really stupid. And when he gets more into civilization, that's where it became less interesting. I mean, he goes back to civilization. There's his grandpa, played by Ralph Richardson. There's, again, Andie MacDowell, which her performance is effective because it's not her voice, so it's just, things are off kilter with that. And it's like he's either learning how to read, or he's rolling on pool tables, or some asshole is whipping this guy who's mentally not there, so Tarzan like throws a rock at the guy's car. But just like a whole lot of not much happening. It was actually rather boring because it's over 2 hours long. The movie's 2 hours and 16 minutes long, and it wasn't that I think Christopher Lambert did the best he could. It just, like, the direction or the pacing, it just was very... You know, you think of Tarzan, you also want to think of excitement, or you think of adventure, or you think of... There was none of that in the second half. There was none of it. You want to be a bit more of a serious story, pontificating, but that was just... You got it already, and it went on, and again, the love story is not even... There's a bit where they make love, but I don't feel the chemistry between the two. I just did not feel the chemistry between this Tarzan and Jane. I didn't feel it one bit. And then Grandpa decides to do his audition for Jackass, I guess, because he gets a sheet, puts it under his butt, and goes down the stairs. I'm like, why is he auditioning for Jackass? I get because he's not all there mentally, but still, before Jackass, there was this Grandpa, and he fucking dies. Sorry, spoilers, he dies. He dies from it. And I guess it's just this constant loss for Tarzan. Like, he lost his ape mom, then this grandpa he just knew. Ian Holm left to do his own thing, so he misses Ian Holm. Then Ian Holm comes back. Then he's trying to be sophisticated, and he sees the museum with stuffed animals that unnerves him. And then he sees these caged apes, including his ape father. Well, I mean, before he left the jungle, he did fight the Scarred. Which, I mean, wasn't really a fight. It was more throwing shit in front of him. Come and get me. We both jump into the water. There's some blood, and then Tarzan comes out. So it's not really much of a fight, to be honest. Which I wish it was. Because it's someone in a suit, a Rick Baker suit, with Tarzan. It could be more of a fight. It could be more of a struggle, something, I don't know. Throwing each other, something like that. I would say I still think the best Tarzan film is the Disney film from 1999. I still think that's the best because it was beautiful to look at. I thought it was better paced. It wasn't 2 hours and 16 minutes long. It just felt more thrilling, more exciting. You got the love story, you got seriousness, you got it all in a tighter package. And in super spoilers, he tries to get his ape father free, and cops shoot it. And Christopher Lambert's like, "He was my father!" And then Lambert says he's going back home because, yeah, half of me is this, but half of me is wild. And you have him growling like a fucking tiger. But it's an actual sound of an actual fucking tiger. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's growling, I get it, he's wild, but to actually put the sound effect of an actual tiger, I thought was laughable. So, then he goes back home, and I didn't feel anything about... I felt more of a bromance between him and Ian Holm. Now, granted, part of me is okay, that makes it be a bit different. And that's just the same me, Tarzan, you, Jane. So it does make it stand on his own 2 feet. But I'm just saying, with the The love story to me did really nothing. And I don't think the film needed to be 2 hours and 16 minutes long. I really don't. But it's like, hey, I guess the director thought he was making Chariots of Fire too. I don't even know what happened to that director after this. I mean, I was surprised it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Screenplay. Okay. If you say so. Christopher Lambert, I think, did the best that he could with the circumstances and the type of role he had to play. I mean, with Tarzan, it's a bit more of a contemplative movie, like I said, serious movie. But you don't... I like it more than that new one that came out a few years ago. Because that film, yeah, it tried to be more action-adventure, but it was just done with a bunch of just terrible effects and terrible green screen, and I just didn't give a shit about anything that was going on. This, at least, its seriousness and its, I don't know, it's weird to say grittiness for a Tarzan movie, made it feel a bit more refreshing on that front. And I liked Ian Holm. I liked their kind of friendship. Like I said, the stuff in the jungle was interesting to a point. But I said, when you got to Civilization, it kind of just went, well, this is the movie, and it's going to go on for another hour until we get to that end where now he leaves, and it just wasn't that eventful. It wasn't that exciting. It wasn't that interesting to me. It felt like this is a scene that could be, I don't know, cut half the time, and you still get the same bit. I don't know, maybe if there's some bit where you develop a bit more of the love story between him and Jane. Let Andie MacDowell keep her fucking voice. And I don't know, maybe there's some bad guys that chase after her, and Tarzan has to use his jungle ways in this city setting, the urban jungle, and I don't take care of, I don't know. It's just really not that exciting or thrilling of a movie. And like I said, I don't hate the film, but I would never see it again. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.